preparation for this evening's chanting. If you're wishing to join along, it will be chanting from the dark brown volume of the two chanting books, page 85, and that's the teaching on mindfulness of breathing. This is sections from the Anapanasati Sutta, teaching on mindfulness of breathing, page 85. Page 85. Andabayanana sati sutta patam vanamase anapanasati bhikkhave pavita bahulikata. Because when mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, Mahapala hoti mahani samsa, it is of great fruit and great benefit. Anapanasati bhikkhave pavita bahulikata. When mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, Jataro satipatane paripuheti, it fulfills the four foundations of mindfulness. Jataro satipatana bhavita bahulikata. When the four foundations of mindfulness are developed and cultivated, Saddhabhojange paripurenti, they fulfill the 7 factors of awakening. Saddhabhojanga bhavita bahulikata.
When the 7 factors of awakening are developed and cultivated, Vijja Vibhuting Paripuranti, they fulfill true knowledge and deliverance. Gatang bhavita cha bhikkhave anapanasati gatang bahuli gata. And how bhikkhus is mindfulness of breathing developed and cultivated. Mahabala hoti mahanisansa, so that it is of great fruit and great benefit. Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu, here bhikkhus a bhikkhu, aranyagatoa, gone to the forest, rukamulagatoa, to the foot of a tree, sunyagaragatoa, or to an empty hut, nisidati palankang abhutitva, sits down having crossed his legs. Ujung kayang panidaya parimukang sating upatapetwa, sets his body erect, having established mindfulness in front of him. So sato wa asasati, sato wa pasasati, ever mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out. Digang wa asasanto, digang asasamiti pajanati. Breathing in long, he knows I breathe in long. Digang wa pasasanto, digang pasasamiti pajanati. Breathing out long, he knows I breathe out long. Rasang wa asasanto, rasang asasamiti pajanati. Breathing in short, he knows I breathe in short. Rasang wa pasasanto, rasang pasasamiti pajanati. Breathing out short, he knows I breathe out short. Sambhakaya pati samvedi asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the whole body. Sambhakaya pati samvedi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing the whole body. Vasambayam kaya samkara asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the bodily formations. Vasambayam kaya samkara asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily formations. Vidipati samvedi asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing rapture. Vidipati samvedi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing rapture. Sukapati samvedi asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing pleasure. Sukapati samvedi pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out experiencing pleasure. Citta sankhara pati samvedi asasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in experiencing the mental formations. Citta sankhara pati samvedi pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out experiencing the mental formations. Asambayam citta sankhara asasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in tranquilizing the mental formations. Pasambayam citta sankharam pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out tranquilizing the mental formations. Cittapati samvedi asasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in experiencing the mind. Cittapati samvedi pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out experiencing the mind. Abhipamodayam cittang asasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in gladdening the mind. Abhipamodayam cittang pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out gladdening the mind. Samadaham cittang asasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in concentrating the mind. Samadaham cittang pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out concentrating the mind. Vimochayam cittang asasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in liberating the mind. Vimochayam cittang pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out liberating the mind. Aniccanupasi asasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in contemplating impermanence. Aniccanupasi pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out contemplating impermanence. Viraganupasi asasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in contemplating the fading away of passions. Viraganupasi pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out contemplating the fading away of passions. Nirodhanupasi asasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in contemplating cessation. Nirodhanupasi pasasi samiti sikkati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out contemplating cessation. Patini saganupasi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in contemplating relinquishment. Patini saganupasi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out contemplating relinquishment. Evam bhavita ko bhikkhave anapanasati evam bahulikata. Because that is how mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated. Mahapala hoti mahani samsati, so that it is of great fruit and great benefit.
Establish ourselves in a meditation posture that works for us. Whether that's on the floor, chair, bench, one cushion, two cushions, doesn't matter. Whatever supports our own bodily needs. So I like to think that even just the idea of coming and meditating, whether it's coming from outside the monastery or within the monastery, just that intention, something's available, something wholesome, something helpful, something that helps us develop a peaceful heart, peaceful mind. So right from that very first moment of the intention to come, there's goodness being formed. This is wholesome intention. And the birth of good karma, good action. Meaningful karma stems from intention, and it cuts both ways. There's wholesome intention and unwholesome intention, and this is wholesome. So coming together, it's a communal activity, these guided meditations. And twice a day we have communal, at least twice a day, we have communal meditation here. Shared aspirations, shared intention. So as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we establish a posture that's something that works for us. You know, we're all individual, and even our own body needs different supports at different times. So So for us to not be fixed, if we feel we need to adapt our posture, change it from what we've used before for meditation, that's fine. That's really skillful to adapt to changing conditions. But whatever seating arrangement we have for ourselves, I find very useful to take time to check the basic elements of posture that most of us will find useful for meditation. Is that we're in a relaxed yet supportive alignment of the body. So if we're leaning forward, if we could maybe say we're off center of our balance, we're going to be using muscle unnecessarily, and that can create tension, physical tension, but physical tension can bleed into the emotional and mental tension without us even knowing it. Sometimes leaning too far back, it's unnecessary. We're going to use muscles we don't need to use. Side to side, same thing. So we try to find that sweet spot in the middle where we're balanced. Same with the angle of the head, the chin, neither too low nor too high. And as we know, the head is heavy, weighs a lot. So just find that point of balance, relaxed, maybe even manipulate the head a little bit just to make sure we're not gripping. So already we're using mindfulness, developing mindfulness, intentionally setting ourselves up, not just letting things go to chance. There is intention, which is wholesome. For the next couple of minutes, let's just slowly scan our attention across the body, through the body, from the crown of the head right down to the fingertips and tips of our toes. In our own time, just slowly scan with mindfulness and check for any residual unnecessary holding or tension. And if we find some, just consciously soften. So we're just using enough muscular engagement to keep our body upright in a poised yet relaxed way. So we'll do this for the next 2 or 3 minutes. And I suggest that if we finish going from top to bottom, that you just turn around and go from fingertips and toe tips right back up. You can just slowly, you can keep going back and forth slowly. using mindfulness of the body is a super helpful way to begin to get out of our heads. So much of our world is lives through our thinking world, our thinking processes. And it's not to make an enemy out of thinking, because thinking is incredibly useful. But it can also really cloud our well-being, our levels of well-being, getting trapped into patterns of thought or certain things we're thinking about. And by going to the body, just the sensation of the body, just sensing and checking to see if there's tension, there's a mindfulness being applied. And it also provides us with a marker that if our exercise is mindfulness of the body, and then we find ourselves thinking again, that's good that we've noticed. Not to be, we shouldn't be surprised or downhearted or upset, but be glad that we've noticed that habit, the habitual inclination towards using thought that isn't always helpful or needed. So what we chanted this evening, it begins with just describing or encouraging us just to sit down, notice the body. And then it eventually goes into mindfulness of breathing. So now let us turn our attention to the sensation of breathing in and the sensation of breathing out. And we can just simply choose whichever area of our body is most comfortable for us to notice the breath, to notice that in and out breath. And choose one area that we find comfortable in, and stay there. I find it better not to jump around different places. You can do that, but at least for several minutes stay in the same place, just to establish a more settled meditation. So we'll do this just mindful of the in-breath, mindful of the out-breath, and if we get lost in thought, get drawn out from that, as soon as we notice, just return to the breath. And we'll practice like that for several minutes now. As we chanted earlier, we're now tranquilizing the bodily formations, is the way it's phrased. So the body, through effort, through wholesome effort, through applying focused mindfulness, returning to the breath, perhaps we're experiencing some of that settledness. Perhaps a bit of tranquility. The bodily formations settling down and needing less and less oxygen. And we can be aware of the subtle changes in the body, and not to be dismissed or ignored, but even just that recognition of change. Again, as we chanted in this lovely teaching on mindfulness of breathing, to contemplate impermanence, change, learning just from that simple change that comes about in the body during a meditation. The breath either deep or shallow, slow or faster. There's nothing dazzling about it, but it's that recognition of change, changing bodily feelings. But we're using the breath as our soft anchor to the present moment, a place to always return if we get pulled out, away from the breath, away from the body. We gently return to this soft anchor, present moment, awareness, mindfulness. And we're just taking one breath at a time. Just be mindful of each breath, one at a time. as we chanted, with the mindfulness of breathing, calming of the bodily formations, and perhaps we're experiencing calming of the mental activity. Mental formations is the phrase used in the teaching we chanted. Maybe even just a little bit, a slowing or settling. We shouldn't place unreal expectations on meditation, but to be gladdened by even just a little bit of a settling. To notice that change. And sometimes it's more settled, sometimes less. And to be aware of that. And there's a lovely description in many of the scriptural teachings, the suttas, a phrase in English, translated into English, is that the mind can become wieldy, able to be utilized, directed. In the settled mind, when there's more clarity. More collectedness, more meditative calm. There's a pleasure in that. Here again, not necessarily dazzling, probably not dazzling, just calmness which is pleasurable, which is blameless. This is pleasure which is blameless. It's not self-centered. And we can use that clarity that arises to pay closer attention to what's present in the heart and mind. The thoughts and feelings that obscure our well-being, our peace and well-being. Settling, seeing, possible for us to change using skillful, good intentions, to use opportunities like this to make change the patterns, the habitual ways of relating to sensory input, through whatever we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, comes through the intellect, and the habits. So much of the way we respond is habitual, through our conditioning, through cultural conditionings, and just whatever, social conditioning. When we were born, where we were born, how we were raised, what kind of schools we went to, whatever. So that's just normal. That's that we learn to be like this, whatever way we are. And so we can learn to be different if being different is useful. If that's helpful, we can learn to change the patterns. We can change the patterns of reacting, responding. And meditation is crucial to be able to look, see clearly, to intentionally cultivate calm, and then using that calm, that if there are things that are binding us, and so that we're experiencing dis-ease, discontent, suffering, dukkha. And then, we change the patterns. We can let go. We can relinquish those old patterns, and these underlying tendencies and habitual ways of relating to the world. It's not to repress them or suppress them, but just to, this is. Maybe we notice we have a habit of responding in a certain way which is not helpful to ourselves or others or both, and we can use effort. There is right effort. It's not an effortless path. The Buddhist teachings. It sounds good. Just sometimes we hear, I'll just dwell. Sounds good, but there is this thing called right effort, and there's a thing called wrong effort as well. And so it's to do things like we're all doing here this evening, cultivate right effort, and use that if the mind becomes more wieldy, to then direct it in certain, maybe investigating certain things, to keep it simple, is my suggestion, but to investigate impermanence, investigate the cessation of things, the ceasing not just of things that have come into our sense sphere, but also to relinquish these unhelpful patterns, relinquish suffering, relinquish unwholesomeness, letting go, relinquishment. And to be patient, because it's not a quick fix. We might feel the benefits from even just sitting down for the first time and meditating. Just just be pleasant. Just nothing to do. Isn't this nice? There's a joy. There can be a happiness in that. Even a rapture. The rapture, the word that's mentioned in the chanting, but. To me, rapture is maybe a little bit strong, just the way my own mind is conditioned. But that sort of gentle joy of, I don't have to do anything else right now except cultivate mindfulness. Nice. So, before I go completely over time, let's do some chanting. We'll chant page 46. It's the Mangala Sutta in English, the Buddha's teaching called the Highest Blessings. It's a lovely sutta, goes everything from relatively mundane advice to full liberation is mentioned in this teaching. Now let us chant the verses on the highest blessings. Thus have I heard that the Blessed One was staying in Samadhi, residing at the Jeta's Grove, in Anathapindika's park. Then in the dark of the night a radiant Deva illuminated old Jeta's Grove. She bowed down low before the Blessed One. Then standing to one side she said, Devas are concerned for happiness and ever long for peace. The same is true for humankind. What then are the highest blessings? Avoiding those of foolish ways, associating with the wise, and honoring those worthy of honor. These are the highest blessings. Living in places of suitable kinds, with the fruits of past good deeds, and guided by the rightful way. These are the highest blessings. Accomplished in learning and craftsman skills, with discipline highly trained, and speech that is true and pleasant to hear. These are the highest blessings. Providing for mother and father's support, and cherishing family, and ways of work that harm no being. These are the highest blessings. Generosity and a righteous life, offering help to relatives and kin, and acting in ways that leave no blame. These are the highest blessings. Steadfast in restraint, and shunning evil ways, avoiding intoxicants that dull the mind, and heedfulness in all things that arise. These are the highest blessings. Respectfulness and being of humble ways, contentment and gratitude, and hearing the Dhamma frequently taught. These are the highest blessings. Patience and willingness to accept one's faults, seeing venerated seekers of the truth, and sharing often the words of Dhamma. These are the highest blessings. Ardent, committed to the holy life, seeing for oneself the noble truths, and the realization of Nibbana. These are the highest blessings. Although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains, beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. These are the highest blessings. They who live by following this path know victory wherever they go, and every place for them is safe. These are the highest blessings. And we'll do the closing homage and that's in the Pali and English language on page 16 in the same book.
Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One, Buddhang Bhagavantan Abhivademi, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. Swagato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Dhammam namasami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, Sangha